Hello, my name is Ismail Badran. I'm an assistant professor of physical chemistry at Qatar University. Now you've finished all your lab work and you have done a lot of work in the lab. Now it's time to communicate this research to people. In this presentation, I'm going to tell you how to effectively and clearly can you communicate your research to people either by writing or by presentation. So in this presentation, I'm going to speak to you about the first impression dilemma. I'm going to tell you more about how to use the skills, the principles of graphic design into your presentation. I will also speak to you about how to organize your slides, some do and don'ts in your research. And finally, I will speak to you about the consistency, which is a major component in presenting your research. So the idea here is that I said at the beginning, you've done a lot of work in the lab, maybe you spent so many hours, and it's time to communicate your research. So communicating research to people actually serves two purposes. The first thing is that you want to tell people about your work, and maybe you want to publish your work in a paper for the sake of career growth, or just tell people about your research. But the other important thing is that you want to listen to feedback from people, and maybe you will hear some criticism to your work. Maybe somebody was doing this work already and some other places, or maybe people will tell you something that you never pay attention to. Now, when it comes to the first impression dilemma, this is very important that when you present to people, especially in PowerPoint presentations or conference presentations, you have to make a solid impression about that. The way you do this first is you have to make a solid preparation. As we always say, you have to practice for your research. You need to speak clearly and confidently. You need to appear well, of course, and keep an eye contact with the people. And one of the most important things is strong content. Even if you are wearing good clothes, you look good, you're making eye contact and all of that, and your presentation looks good. At the end, we are scientists, and what matters is the strong content, okay? So people, they actually need to see good science here. And finally is the good presentation. The presentation itself, either in writing form or in presentation form, should be actually made good. So how to make an impressive presentations, just like the one you see here, you have to take care of a few things. One of them is the text, and maybe colors, distribution of these text and colors, and finally clarity and content. So when it comes to text and colors, as you see here in this slide, I'm keeping a good contrast between the colors and text. So as we always say, you have to put a bright text over a dark background or vice versa. So you never put a dark background and a dark text. That's not going to work. That will just be irritating for people. You need to distribute these texts and colors in your presentation. I'm talking about a PowerPoint presentation here, okay? Just distribute it in a beautiful way. Don't gather everything in one corner. And things has to be clear. Like, for example, I don't know why some people, they try to put so much text and things in one slide. That's irritating for people. Just make people happy. Maybe you just put a little bit of elements in each slide. It doesn't matter how many slides you can put. People sometimes they limit the numbers of slides, but that's not a rule. The rule here is to have good slides. They stand well, okay? Stand well, stand clear, and they have also good content. Now, here is an example of a good slide, as I believe. As you see here, this slide I made it myself, and everything looks nice and clear. We have a contrast between the color and text. The text is all having the same size and same font, and this is called consistency. Consistency, as we are coming to that, it's an essential rule in scientific presentations. So one important thing in your life is you have to do the right thing. Now, when you present something in your research, for your research in terms of writing or a PowerPoint presentation, actually the audience, they don't know you before. They never saw you. They only see you in that piece of paper or the presentation you're given. So if you believe that you're doing really high quality research, you have to reflect that into your writing or your presentation. If kind of the audience or the people see that you are kind of like doing a lousy job in your writing, and you have a lot of grammatical mistakes, and maybe in your presentation there are so many incorrect things, they will think that you are doing the wrong thing all the time. So again, you have to do the right thing in your life and make sure to get everything in correct, so you get this good first impression to people. So when it comes to doing the right thing, you have to be very careful about these things. And as chemists or as scientists in general, you can tell how many mistakes are there in this slide. This is not something that is uncommon. You see this in students' work, even in publications. Okay, so I will leave this for you to think about the mistakes or the typos that are taking place in this slide. But at the end, providing such errors in a writing paper or a report or a thesis or a presentation will just give an idea to people that you are a lousy person and you're not taking care of things, okay? And the idea here is that if you are not taking care of these small details, that means probably that you're not taking care of things in the lab. And this is where the first impression dilemma comes in. You have to make that first impression that you are doing the right thing in your presentation to reflect that you are actually a professional scientist in the lab. Consistency. Consistency is one of the key factors of success when you present research. Now, consistency is not limited only to text. There's consistency in the text, the font size, the paragraphs, the formatting, the colors that you're using. Okay, maybe you can just use a few colors, that just don't put so many colors. The numbering has to be there as well. Graphs and tables. And if you are in the research field and you're publishing papers, you will see that reviewers come back to you about this consistency all the time. So graph A should be exactly the same as graph B in terms of the fonts and fonts tables, font sizes, and the text and all these details inside the graph. If you're doing tables in your report, these tables also should have the same format. This is called consistency. It's part of a professional presentation. Now, take-home messages. This is important because many people, they make this mistake by just presenting results, either in their papers or in their presentations. People, they like to see results, but the most important thing is that they want to see conclusions. What is it actually the story behind your research? So take-home messages are two parts. There are minor take-home messages, like for each idea or for each slide, you might need to just have a take-home message for people to understand what is the goal or what is the aim of this one. And there is also global ones, okay? Global conclusions comes at the end of the presentation, and it will summarize the whole story for people away from the results. Tips and tricks in research. First of all, of course, the story, the list does not end, but first of all, you have to know your audience, of course, and you have to maybe have an idea before you start presenting. Are they students? Are they professors? What language do they speak? What is their background? All of these things will help you prepare for your presentations. The second thing, be prepared. Practice, practice, practice. Don't go to a presentation without preparation. That's very bad for you and for the audience. Make it personal. You don't have to be, very formal. Have a kind of a sense of humor, but a professional sense of humor. Call people by their names, get to know your audience, and make it personal, make it friendly, okay? People, they like simple. Simple is beautiful. Be professional. Having jokes in a presentation might be tricky. So whenever you want to do a joke, you might need to joke professionally, okay? And don't, just cross the lines with your audience. And one last thing is manage your time. You need to manage your time. You need to keep tracking of your time, and this comes all back to practicing. Now, there are so many don'ts and don'ts in the presenting research work. Some of them is focus on the idea at the time. Don't write paragraphs. And as you see, this slide is written in bullets. So if you want to write a paper, you write paragraphs. But if you want to do a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, you have to do it in bullets, okay? Or short paragraphs. Do not read your slides. It's like something I'm doing now, but this is something that you want to be avoiding. So talk to people rather than reading your slides. By reading your slides, you're telling people that you are not prepared, and you just try reading the slides, and it gives you a false message. Follow the question experiment results format, even in a presentation. Again, practice, practice, practice. Tell a story, okay? Or tell stories. Especially that will motivate people to listen to you more, attract people, and they like stories. Talk to your audience, don't read to them. Again, your first words are the most important, so choose these words carefully, and then again, be open to questions. Don't be afraid of reading questions. People asking me all the time, when do we actually use spoken language rather than written language? So the idea here is you use written language for papers, and you use spoken languages when you want to speak to people. So when you want people to read your paper, you use written English or written language, I mean. But if you want to talk to people in a presentation, you just use spoken language. So coming here to the details, when you want to do a PowerPoint presentation, you have to be aware of hidden objects. So if you actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to walk back out of this slide. I'm going to select everything by clicking Control A. You see there are too many hidden objects here. I don't know why they keep that in a PowerPoint presentation. So when you do that, just be aware that there are sometimes hidden objects, and that will make some problems when you present your slides. Now, let's take these examples and think about them. And I'm going to give you here some what I think is bad examples of presentations or PowerPoint slides. And you can tell the difference, actually. So this is, for example, a TGA, a thermogravimetric analysis thermogram from actually a paper. Okay, and you look, I don't know how does it look, but if you compare it to the next slide, this is a thermogram that I've done myself in one of the papers, and you can see the difference here. There's a huge difference in terms of the format, consistency, the beauty, the colors, and also I'm going to tell you more about this stretching. The people get the habit of stretching things in their papers and their presentations, and this is really bad. You need to avoid that. Okay? Of course, when it comes to colors, you don't have to be a graphic designer to do this. Now with improvements in Microsoft Office and other applications, you can do these slides beautifully just by a click of a mouse. Because PowerPoint, for example, comes with a feature called design ideas. You just put your stuff, and it tells you you choose a design idea. Even if you don't know graphic design, which is something I encourage you also to learn, is that you can do this easily in the new versions of PowerPoint. The most important thing is that you have to be simple, leave a good white space, okay? Use good colors, good color combinations, and be consistent as well. As you see here in this slide, actually everything inside this graph is the same font and the same font size, okay? Again, coming back to errors. This paragraph has actually been taken from an actual thesis of one of my students. And if you look at this paragraph, even if you are not having a good command of English, you will tell there is just something big wrong in this paragraph, because the structure of this paragraph is wrong. So it's not about grammatical errors or punctuations. It's the structure of the whole paragraph is not structured well, because, you know, I will just leave you to discover that by yourself. Now this is an example of also a bad slide, and you can tell there's so much text. The contrast of the green color with the white background, that's not very great. This graph is too big. Maybe it should be smaller. And again, it's stretched. Okay, stretched. This is another also example. This one is an actual PowerPoint slide from one of my students in her graduation project. So what she did is actually just copied. I'm not mentioning the name of the students, of course, but as you see here, She just copied and pasted her conclusion from her thesis into her PowerPoint, because she showed just maybe she doesn't have time to put it in bullets and make it nice. And this is the thing: if you're not doing the right thing, don't expect people to award you. And in English we say garbage in, garbage out. That means if you're doing a garbage job, then you will get just garbage awards or garbage feedback, I mean. This might be funny, but again, this one is a presentation, bad example for all the reasons that we spoke about. Another very bad example of combination of colors, fonts. I don't know. It's just this one really looks terrible. Some more details here is that in their writing the reports and PowerPoint presentations, some people they do this. They when it comes to writing equations, they're not taking care of the details. There is a feature in Microsoft Office and other programs to write professional equations that allows you to put these subscripts and superscripts. Okay, so you have to take care of that as well, and you have to do the right thing. Okay, take a look at this, how the square root is written here and there, for example. And again, I'm gonna come to this really funny idea that people do all the time. What they do is they bring logos or photos from the internet or from their work, and they start stretching them. They stretching them horizontally and vertically. This is an ugly behavior, and you need to stop doing this if you're doing it. The way you do this is when you bring a picture to a Microsoft Office or Word, you are allowed to stretch it from the corner, not from this side or this side. You have to take it from one of the corners, and you increase its size or decrease its size proportionally. That means you're keeping the scale ratio between the width and the height. And this is important so you don't distort these images in an ugly way like that. So by this, I will just finish my presentation by showing you some of the good slides that I've designed. You see this slide was in one of the conferences I've attended. Just clear ideas, consistency, everything looks nice, a lot of white space, the font is clear to readers. You don't have to read, to use a microscope in order to see what is in the slide. And it looks good. Plus, of course, the science that we've done, I think it's good. Another slide from the same presentation, and here I will just draw your attention that you need to put the references. Okay, the references that you use in this research, because some people they like to to know where to get this from, or they want to refer to your works. So you just put the references here in each slide. So the difference between a written report and a presentation is that in the written report you put your references at the end, but in a presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation, you should put them in the bottom of each slide. So here are the references that I have used for this presentation, if you want to dig more into this. And finally, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that all of the images that I've used in this work were taken from pixels.com, which provides royalty-free images. So, and this is something that is really important for you, that you are not allowed to take images from. Some of these images might have copyrights. But there are plenty of websites like pixels.com and that provides you with free images that you can use for your presentations. Okay, so that would be the end of my presentation, and I wish that you benefit from what I said. I wish you all the best for you and your family, and good luck with your research, and have a good day.